Coming to you live from TFBN studios on the Rayjens server, this is TFBN News. I'm your host Roogisan, and I'm joined today by Eskimolander. Good evening.
Good evening, Roogisan. As we approach the Christmas season, all the troublemakers and pot stirrers of the world have decided to take a bit of a rest and spend some time with their families, and as a result, we have a little less news than normal, which, considering it's getting close to Christmas, is fine by me. Speaking of Christmas, for those on the Rayjens server who would like to deposit a gift for their friends, you can go to /warpchristmas and there will be chests there for you to do as such. Also, closer to Christmas time, there will be a Christmas kit, which you will obtain by using the command /kit Christmas, as well as an Ender Dragon fight. Date to be announced for those. Also, the server mob arenas are now fixed and completely functional. On to you, Roogisan.
Okay, in our first piece of gaming news, I'm very glad to announce that Nintendo are planning to release Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow, the three original games, for the 3DS. They were originally released in 1996 in Japan on February the 27th, and it's going to be that exact date 20 years later in 2016 that you're going to get them re-released on the current Nintendo handheld. At this stage, it is only going to be an eShop release, and there is no hard copy. But you never know; that might change.
It's hard to believe it's been 20 years.
It's been a long time. I had the original Pokemon Yellow. I absolutely loved that game. It was so refreshing and different. It was completely different to anything that I'd ever played before.
Yeah, my first Pokemon game was actually Fire Red, which was one of the remakes, but even then, I mean, Pokemon is just timeless. It's one of those games that 100 years from now, kids are probably still going to be playing. Not that
Oh,
you'll be able to recognize any of the creatures.
absolutely not. We're going to be having creatures that look like writing pens. There probably already is one, I don't know. But one thing that I'm curious about is going to be whether they're going to be keeping the glitches from the original game in there. The missing no glitch, the Mew glitch as well. I
They can't
wonder.
get rid of the missing no glitch. That is a part of Pokemon.
It's sort of
Come on.
historical, isn't it? To be honest, whenever somebody says, "Oh, this game has got a glitch," the first thing that I think of, because it was the first glitch that I ever encountered, was missing no.
I mean, if you think about it, missing no is so hard coded in Pokemon history. If they were to remove that, it would no longer be Pokemon Blue, Red, and Yellow.
So here's a challenge for you then, to test your remembering skills. What was the missing no glitch?
What? It was a miscoded Pokemon
Mm.
that
And
they were
how
originally going to have.
and how did you come across it?
It was on Cinnabar Island.
It was. It was on the east coast of Cinnabar Island, and you had to go up and down a lot, and it appeared. I think. Is that right?
I'm not sure. I've never. I have played Red and Blue, but I've never actually found Missing No on my own. So
Ah, okay. Well, yeah, I'm really looking forward to that.
you're
That's a
not the only one.
Yeah, that's a good way to start off the gaming news.
And in the next gaming news, this is a very happy month, despite how short the news is. So, a game called Plague Inc. Involved, which is one of my way up there games, will be receiving a multiplayer update on December 1st, where two players will pit their viruses against one another. It also comes with new evolutions, abilities, and genes to help players fight each other's virus. If you have not played this game, then everything I said made no sense.
Hmm.
So the game is a top-down strategy game, which is probably my favorite genre of game, and it involves picking a virus or fungi in some cases, and using evolutions and mutations and abilities in the same way that you would a tech tree, and using those to help you infect the entire world and then kill the entire world. And now they're making it so that you'll have two people playing, each with their own virus, trying to knock out the other virus and then also kill the world. It's
So what you're saying is that they decided that killing the world on your own was not fun, and it's much better with friends.
exactly. It's a bit morbid, but I mean, what better way do you expect to spend Christmas this year?
Finally, in gaming news for this month, we have got the news that Rocket League, one of my personal favorite games, is getting a Snow Day expansion. It's set to be released on the 14th of December and it is going to be free. It's also going to be a good update. They are adding a whole lot of Christmas themed items, but the big news, and one that I'm really looking forward to trying out, is they're turning the pitch into an ice hockey rink and the ball into a puck.
And as an Eskimo, I am very, very happy about this.
And I'm not a big ice hockey fan, but I just think it's going to be so much fun skidding around on a load of ice. So
Absolutely.
I would imagine, although we haven't talked about this before, we'll be posting a video of that at some point.
I would be shocked if we didn't.
So stay tuned for that.
And now in our gaming releases, to go with our shortened news month theme, we are not having any breaks. We have Chivalry Medieval Warfare on Xbox One and PlayStation 4, Just Cause 3 on PlayStation 1, PS4, and PC, Rainbow Six Siege on Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC, Darius Burst Chronicle Saviors on PC, Dragon Quest Heroes on PC, Xenoblade Chronicles 10 on Wii U, Earth Defense Force 2 Invaders from Planet Space on PlayStation Vita, Earth Defense Force 4.1 The Shadow of New Despair on PlayStation 4, Guns, Gore, and Cannoli on PlayStation 4, Among the Sleep on PlayStation 4, Cosmic League on PC, and Devil's Third on Wii U. And as you all know, every month Roogisan and I each pick a game to do in-depth reports on. This month I picked Sword Art Online, A Lost Song, and Roogisan, you picked Fallout 4, so why don't you tell us a bit about that?
I did. So, Fallout 4 is a game by Bethesda. It's the sequel to Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, which are two games that I really enjoyed playing. So I was really looking forward to getting my hands on a copy of Fallout 4. I waited a couple of weeks until after it came out because I couldn't seem to find it anywhere, presumably because the copies had all sold. Um, but once I got the game, I found in my game box a disc and three pieces of paper. The disc had 5 GB worth of data on it, and the game is 25 GB. So I had to do a 20 GB download, which I was not pleased with because it never mentioned this anywhere on the box. And for those of us who have got limited broadband, that's a huge, 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 huge file. It wasn't fun. It took me 4 hours.
That's a pretty large file for someone who does have unlimited bandwidth.
Yes,
It won't hurt your wallet, but it will take a long time.
yes, it did. It took I think it was 4.5 hours after I got home from the store to actually be having a game that I could play. Except I couldn't play it because as soon as it finished installing, there were so many glitches that it kept crashing to the desktop. There was a glitch which meant that I couldn't run it in full screen mode and I had to run it in windowed mode. But finally, I got the game going and I managed to have 2.5 hours with it. Um, and I really enjoyed it. The game was amazing. It was good quests, great cinematics, great voice acting. Um, the graphics look amazing, much better than Fallout 3. Uh, yeah, I really enjoyed it. They've sort of mixed it up a little bit, so you're getting power armor and sort of the the items which were more end game stuff in the earlier games very early on. So it's going to be a little bit different. Um, but yeah, my early review of the game is very positive. I just wish that they had let me know that there was a 20 GB download so I could have planned around that rather than having my entire day and bandwidth wasted. Thanks, Bethesda.
Do you have anything else on Fallout 4 for us?
Um, if I was going to give it a rating, it's a little bit early to do it because, like I said, I've only played for a couple of hours. Um, but once the game was actually running, the glitches were almost non-existent. It ran really smoothly on my computer. and I would give it probably an 8.
That's a pretty good score.
Yeah, so you could say that it was good in theory and good in execution.
Well, that's good to hear. It's nice to know that you finally had something good.
Yeah, yeah, I've had a bit of a bad run, but this has turned it around. So, what about your game?
Um, well, I didn't go quite as far in my research as you did. For one, I didn't buy my game, nor did I play it. I simply looked up what I could. I know that it was produced by Yosuke Futami, developed by Art Think, and published by Bandai Namco Games. It's available on PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, and PlayStation Vita. It's an action-based role-playing game and has both single-player and multiplayer modes, and it is the third installment in the series, which means there has been a sequel before it, and then of course the original game. It received mixed reviews, with people rating the multiplayer experience and the controls quite highly, but that the game's dungeons were dull and reused from previous games. What I know about the setting is that it takes place in the world of Svartalfheim. I hope I'm saying that name right. Which is a set of floating continents in Helfheim Online, which is the game within the game. And it's based in the same continuum as Sword Art Online, Hollow Fragment, but with an alternative timeline. What I know about Sword Art Online is that it is based off of an anime slash manga series, which I have not read nor watched. I meant to do it during my research, but it sort of slipped away from me. And what I know about that is this is a very shaky understanding. Is that the anime is about a group of characters who are inside of a virtual reality game and get trapped or something along those lines, and then are forced to play the game as if it were real life in order to leave. That's my understanding of it. That could be wrong or right. I'm not entirely sure. But what I got from this game about the plot is that after the Hollow Fragment and escaping Sword Art Online, Kirito, who is the main character, decides to join Alfheim Online. There he makes friends and enemies, follows some quests, and then enters the dark world called Niflheim, where he encounters, among other things, a fan club, concerts, dungeons, a cafe, an experiment, and another dungeon. Then there's a fight to the death, then something about a Norse god and a sword. Then there's a boss battle. Someone gets their idol status questioned. Then another fight happens. Then Kirito, again the main character, logs out to convince his friend to log back on. She does, and then her and Kirito fight, and somehow this reunites her with her sister. My conclusion on this game is that given that I know very little about the anime, I'm going to assume, based off of the reception, that it's fairly accurate to the anime slash manga series. Considering it's a second sequel in the series, it must be fairly successful and also quite fun. But I also think that it's a game that's made specifically for pre-existing fans. I don't think it's a game that new fans could pick up and play very easily, as the plot seems a bit complicated and hard to follow. Not to say that that's a fault. If anything, it might be, it's quite likely a good thing for those who are interested in this type of game. Although I do think it's not a game you pick up lightheartedly, as it seems to be quite involved. And for our reports next month, in the next edition of the TFBN News, the game I will be doing an in-depth report on is Among the Sleep. And for you, Roogisan?
And I will be reviewing Just Cause 3.
Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to stay tuned for TFBN News in the future.